Okay, so considering that the draft is only a couple of days away, I'm going to make a type of video like this to comment on something regarding Torey Krug. I was going to make a full-length video. I was doing a lot of writing for it and whatnot, but given classes and other things, I'm not going to have a lot of time to put a video together like I did Krejci. And really, I busted my butt for Krejci because he does deserve it. As much as I want him off the Bruins, he did deserve it because he was a big part of the team for a long time, and he deserves recognition for that. Really, he deserves respect. Torey Krug, on the other hand, less time. He doesn't have that same what's the word, seniority. He doesn't really have that. So let's discuss some rumors with Krug. I'll give my opinion, and then that'll be that, and maybe some foresight going into the draft. And if the draft turns out, like Torey Krug isn't traded or something like that, then I'll maybe make a video afterwards. So NHL rumors, Torey Krug, second line, Boston right wing, and then that last part, let's pretend doesn't exist. In fact, let's just pretend that that entire area of the country doesn't exist for a good while. Okay? Thank you. But yeah, my NHL trade rumors. Very good. I like how they cite their sources. This is from Chris Wessel, by the way. Thank you, Chris Wessel, for a good article. Torey Krug decision at Crossroads. Joe Haggerty of NBC Sports Boston. I hate Joe Haggerty, but he does have his ear to ground. I'll give him that. While the Boston Bruins say all the right things, the reality is Krug's trade value is at an all-time high. Correct. Don Sweeney considers trading the defenseman this summer, especially if he feels Charlie McAvoy is ready. McAvoy is clearly ready. He's going to probably take, I think he's actually going to take a step back, and then he's going to progress forward because there's always a slump. There's always some kind of revealing. And I think he might take a step back, but then he'll go forward. He has a lot of like the early days of David Pastrnak when he was first coming up. He would get injured, he'd have flashes, he'd put up points, but he wasn't really consistent about it. And then it just clicked. Now McAvoy's lucky because he's playing under Cassidy. Pastrnak was playing under Claude, but I still think McAvoy's got to bulk up. He's got to get bigger, and I think when he does, he'll have less of a problem playing consistently. The RFA market dictates a big pay bump for Torey Krug, and Boston likely cannot afford it. True, true. All their money is going to go into Charlie McAvoy and Brandon Carlo. I think it's going to be like 11 to 12 million between the two of them, maybe even more. That's the entirety of their cap space, just gone in the blink of an eye. In fact, it was originally 14 million left. I think it's 13 million now, but I think that's because we don't know if the cap's going up or not. The Bruins, again, are skating mediocrity. They can only, and again, McAvoy and Carlo are probably going to get better. But as usual, the Bruins won't have depth. And they've got 2 years until Backus's contract is at an end. And the only way you can get any kind of return on that is if you put him down the minors and you save a million, or if you trade him, which will probably cost a prospect. The Bruins are in a bad situation right now, and they're going to have to find a way out of it. And Torey Krug, I already have made an entire video on David Krejci, but that was out of also respect for David Krejci. Because this could be a point where they trade him and get a massive return for him. Or they could keep him and find someone to play with him. I personally think they should go younger, but I guess they'll wait until Studnicka or something starts coming up, maybe. Torey Krug would be a definite trade that Don Sweeney should make. It may be a decision that gets revisited come next trade deadline as well. That is something to keep in mind as Boston faces more decisions. They're going to make the trade now. Krug's got 1 year left. Teams don't usually get a lot for player rights. They get a lot for getting the player and then being able to size them up as the season goes on. If the Bruins are going to trade Torey Krug, they have to do it right now or at some point during the regular season. The problem is they can't look desperate. But it seems like Detroit really wants him, so let's hope that works out. I'm hoping it does. Boston's second line right wing problem, and I'm reading this section because it has a direct correlation with Torey Krug because the Bruins are in need of a top six forward, particularly one with size. Boston's weakest point remains at a second line right wing to complement David Pastrnak. David Backes served that role, but clearly has regressed to a bottom six forward. Just imagine if the Bruins had Backes 5 years ago, they win the Stanley Cup. That still amazes me. It's sort of like if they had Jerome McGinley in 2013, they probably win the Stanley Cup. Using Torey Krug as trade bait is a slim possibility to acquire a top six right winger. After that, scenarios involve Danton Heinen re-signing Marcus Johansson. Heinen, much like Riley Smith, is your typical nerd player. He's akin to Louis Eriksson. He's a nerd player. He plays good defense. He's a good skater. He possesses the puck really well, but he can never do anything with it. I love Heinen, but he's got to show something next year. He's got to show more consistency. And Marcus Johansson, I was never really sold on Marcus Johansson. I mean, he was good against the Blues, but that was because he's a low riding player. I mean, he plays small. He gave them fits, but he didn't do enough. He was invisible for the last couple of games. Sorry, I'm just not a big Johansson fan. When they acquired him, I said, "Oh boy, a guy with concussion problems." And who was the guy who concussed him? Oh, Brad Marchand. Hey, let me just add to that list of reasons I want to punch Marchand right in his nose. All right. Charlie Coyle remains one possibility as he creates mismatches from the wing. This is incorrect. They already tried Coyle with Krejci. It didn't work. They could not make anything happen. Again, adding to the list, adding to the lengthy reasons for why I think Krejci is picky. Carson Kuhlman, played the final three games of the playoffs at that position and did not look out of place. Is he a long-term solution, though? No. He'd be on the third line starting next year. And I wouldn't be totally against it, honestly. He's a good little hard-nosed player. He's a lot like Clifton, but a forward. The problem is he's not top six forward, and I don't think he will become that next year. I think if you give him a few years, he might develop. But one thing I've seen from Bruins prospects is they'll tend to come up, flash, and then disappear. And I know that was the Chiarelli era, so Kuhlman might be different, but I don't think he's going to be a top six. They got to find a guy to go up there and solidify. And then you can throw in young players on this third and fourth line along with defense. And that's another thing. They have to start developing their left shots like Lazon, Zaboral, Arneson, Vakanainen. They've still got Grizzlick, Chara. They've got to start moving these pieces around, start clearing cap space, and that's why they should really trade Torey Krug. But let's see what happens come the draft. I know this isn't really like a great video or whatever, but I wanted to make a comment on it. Thank you for watching. If you did like it, leave a like, consider subbing to the channel if you enjoy the content, and see you next time.